Welcome to In It to Win It. This is Steve Barton, and thank you for tuning in. We're here for Monday market moves, what happened last week in the markets, and what we expect for next week. And thank you for allowing me to do work that I find meaningful. Thank you for giving me the most valuable commodity you have, your attention. I promise to do my very best to give you a return on it. The hypocrisy news story of the week is our big thinker, your hero and mine, who will go unnamed, but his initials are Joe Biden, has decided to ban the free speech on TikTok while simultaneously using the platform to advertise for his campaign. It appears, JB, that your hypocrisy knows no bounds. If you know what movie that is from, put it in the comments below. Alrighty, let's go to the charts. Starting out as always with the S&P 500. Hide the video panel here to increase bandwidth. There we go. Still traveling. We will be back in studio next week. Oh, we also have John Polemy coming up, so stay tuned for questions for that in the community tab. All right, the S&P 500 is up about 2.6% for the week. We saw that last week we thought that it was going to continue down. One thing that we did not have on here that we should have was the 100-day moving average. So we would have seen that it is just hitting on that 100-day moving average. Even with that there, I still would have thought that the S&P 500 would have blown through that. It didn't. It acted as a springboard and it went up. Now it's got resistance on the 50 and the 20 moving average. So our bias is slightly to the downside for the beginning of next week. Dollar is basically flat, still hanging around 106. It was volatile. It got down around 105.50 or so and then springboard up. Yields are interesting. 2-year yield is at 5%. The 10-year, basically the price of money, is at 4.6. So real interesting. And this one, the yield curve, the 10-year yield minus the 2-year yield, getting very close to getting to the zero bound rate here, but still a difference of a third of 1%. 1-month treasuries still paying north of 5%, although we're slowly starting to roll out of these and putting them into dividend paying stocks, things like Blackstone Minerals. And our TLT bet is not working as we thought it would. Close the week at 88.24. Just waiting on the Fed to reverse interest rates. We'll see how that irons out. Gold actually went down slightly, down 2.6%. But what's interesting is a lot of the equities are up. So although the price of the commodity went down, the equities are on the way up. Closed the week just shy of 2350, closed the week at 2347. So we'll be very excited to see what happens next week with gold. Looking at this chart, it looks like we might have a little bit of correction to the downside, but next level of support is going to be around 2310. And the gold to S&P 500 ratio, we thought that this was going to hit 0.5 last week, did not. The S&P 500 went up and gold went down, which is exactly the opposite of what we needed for that to happen. Closed the week at 0.46. It was Patrick of North Star Bad Charts. He got back to me and he said, yes, basically when this ratio gets to 0.5, he said that's when precious metals are going to go bonkers, in his words, and I quote. So that's what we want to see. We want to see it cross above that, and then it will go bonkers. GLD still going up. Put is looking awful, although it did correct a little bit to the downside here. We need to see this thing go way down for us to make a profit on this option that expires in June. Probably not going to happen. GDX up about 1.3% for the week. Was pretty volatile to the downside and then shot up. But what's interesting is gold is down for the week, but this one, the miners are actually up. Same thing for GDXJ. It's up about 0.25%, but still the miners are going up while the price of the metal went down. What that means is that people are starting to buy the equities, which is pretty cool. Franco-Nevada up about 1% from last week. Buy points still see around 115, 116, somewhere in that range. There's a decent amount of support, maybe a limit order for 117 or something. Close the week at 122, so just bouncing right on this 200-day moving average, but looking really good. But yeah, limit orders down there, 115 to 116, 117, somewhere around there. Wheat and precious metals is up 2.5%, basically forming a double top rate here. So we would think that this would correct back to the downside. If gold does go up, then that's not going to matter. This is going to go higher. Gold Royalty Corporation, this one's super exciting. This one is up 10% for the week. David Garofalo, when we had him on the show, when was that? 6-8 months ago, he said that they forecast 100% revenue growth for this year. And with Cote coming online, they had their first pour, and that supports it. So it looks like they're on track. So everyone that's been in this, since we're buying down here at 130, 140, 150, stronghold. We got a golden cross as far as the technicals. We said last week that a buy order around 180 looks pretty good. That did not hit. The closest it got was 188. But I would think anywhere along this 50 moving average might, if you're looking to get into this thing, might be your first entry point. And then hopefully we get a correction in gold and this will come back down to the 200 moving average or something, and you might be able to get back in. But I think that's probably the new floor is going to be around 190 or so. Metalla Royalty touched the 50-day moving average and then bounced up. Next level of resistance is going to be $3.26. Level of support is going to be around $3. If you really want to nitpick it, maybe around $2.98. Origin Royalties, this one is forming up a bull flag that just keeps continuing towards the upper range of that. Just like seeing all these moving averages moving up. They're all in sequential order except for the 10 and the 20, but looking super bullish, looking very good. Still a limit order around 62, 63 cents, something like that. Try to catch that 50 moving average. And Barrick Gold down 4% for the week. We had the news out of Mali. There's a lot of unrest in Niger, but neighbors. As far as an entry point, probably around the 200 moving average here, around $16.25. Looks like we're going to get a golden cross here in a moment, probably next week. So that's exciting. But don't see any real risk here of the Mali, getting nationalized or anything like that. I think that just created a buying opportunity. And I don't think it's a coincidence that it hit on the 200 moving average. So hopefully it comes back down there. It'll give you another shot. But technicals are getting a little stretched, especially in the MACD and the stochastic. Would like to see the RSI come back down a little bit more. It's at 54 right now. If it got back down to the 200 moving average, that would probably put it in the low 40s, which would create an entry point. Newmont, this is awesome. Quarterly report came out, earnings and revenue, and a surprise to the tune of 53%. That's a very good surprise to the upside. Bounced on the 100 moving average there and shot right up on great news. And couldn't be happier with this. A lot of these right down here, all these entry points came from silver chartists. So I don't get anything out of, there's no affiliate or anything. But if you guys are interested, I like silver chartist a lot. There's a link down below. Agnico Eagle up 3% for the week. Shot up and then shot down. I was actually looking at this when it was at $67 this morning. I'm recording on Friday. And almost pulled the trigger on taking some profits, but I didn't. I'm basically just looking at, profits of almost 50%, and thought of doing it. Just said, no, just ride this one out. I mean, if we go out here to the weekly, I really think we're going to have some moves up here. I think the share price of this is going to get north of $90. Maybe not this year, but I think it's going to happen. This company does pay a dividend. I think we're just going to be in this one for the long run. But anyways, that's just my thoughts there. Okay, Duncan, Zolt, and Awakening, Mod, and Krusty all want to know about B2 Gold, probably because of what's going on with Molly. Had a pretty nice correction here. Now, check out this double bottom right here. All right, so not real deep on the RSI yet. It's at 47. MACD does look kind of in the toilet. So does stochastic, but I like this double bottom right here. So maybe your first limit order around $2.50. Next one down here around $2.40. All right, and G Mining Ventures, this one is pretty exciting. Down 4%. It was down way gap down here on Monday. They announced that they're going to be acquiring Reunion Gold. We talked about that one briefly with Rick Rule a couple months ago, I think. He liked it. Now they're acquiring it. This is good. G Mining Ventures, it looks like their first mine in Brazil is going to be low cost, and it looks like they're going to begin pouring gold here pretty soon. And with this asset, with Reunion Gold, they could have as much as 500,000 ounces a year with really good cash flow. So I like it a lot. We said last week that a limit order around 155 should do well. That should have hit. It could have gone all the way down to a buck 40. We weren't quick enough to catch that. But yeah, like this one a lot. I think this is a good acquisition. And I think still a limit order around a buck 55 is fantastic. Rio 2 looks like the cup and handle is starting to form out here, looking really good. Limit order for 30 cents hit. Oh, that says 30.04. Let me just, my ADD will not allow me to undo this here. 0.30. There we go. Hit for 30 cents. And that was a tick. We had another limit order in down here for 29 cents, but when it got down to this level, we just filled the whole thing at 30 cents. And yeah, anyways, looks like the cup and handle is forming out. So hopefully that works. Maybe that'll time perfectly with them getting some more funding, and then we'll shoot to the upside. We'll see. And Revelation says, what do you think about Gold Mining Inc? All right, I don't know anything fundamentally about this company, but the pattern I see is kind of around where it is now. I mean, there's quite a bit of support around where it is now. Buck 15. If I go out a little bit here, let me pull it out to the weekly, and we can see in a longer time frame, there's a fair amount of support around where it is right now. Revelation. So maybe a limit order where you are now, and then another one around $1.05, and then another stink bid down around here, like 90 cents, something like that. That's what I see there. Silver down 5.5% for the week. So our little lines here that we drew, moving the 26 up to the 30, I think that may have been a little premature, and that is a common male problem. So we're going to have to adjust this a little bit and put it down to 26. That's our new support line. So unfortunately, the ceiling is no longer 30. It's now 28. And we may be trading in this channel here between 26 and 28. We'll see. And the gold to silver ratio closed at 86-1. So it takes 86 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold. And it was, who was it? Charles said, some experts are expressing silver as a percentage of the gold price. May want to investigate that. All right, so basically all we do for that is we take silver and then divide it by gold, and that'll give us the percentage. If we look over here, this says 0.012, so move the decimal points 2 to the right, and that would be 1.2%, basically. So all that really is is it's just an inverse of the other graph. So kind of memorize this pattern right here. Look at the moving averages. Just go from the beginning of April here, memorize that pattern, and then look at it the other way, and it's simply an inverse. That's it. Um, just kind of depends on which way your brain works. That's all. They both basically say that silver should get cheaper in or more expensive in relation to gold. That's about it. That's all I see. Okay, SILJ. This one's pretty exciting, up 2.5% for the week. Could have some kind of topping pattern forming here. I know some guys took profits up here week before last. Certainly couldn't blame you for that. I think you should be closing trading positions only in SILJ and Pan American Silver. Pan American Silver is looking amazing. Closed the week at 19 bucks. Basically flat for the week, but we've got a golden cross forming here, which is super bullish, but technicals are pretty high. So it, probably due for a little bit of a correction. SILV is up 8%. Last week it was up 9. We actually took a little profits. This is the first time that we've sold this. We got into this back in 2022, I think. When was that? January 2022. Okay, so our first bet in this was over 2 years ago. We finally took a profit. Our average cost into this, I believe, was $5.50, and we sold, our first sale was at $8.41. And then, of course, it went up even more after that. But took a little profits. We took about 1/5 of our initial bet off the table. So let's see, we were up 35% overall. That's what 550 over 850, that'd be 65. Yeah, 35% overall. And we took 1/5 of the initial bet off the table. So we may be trimming a little bit more of this. We're going to have Rick on the show in the next couple of weeks. We can pick his brain on this when he comes back on. And Mars wants to know about Mag Silver. Okay, if you've been in this one a bit, like let's say you got in down here around 850, might be time to trim your position a little bit. If you're looking for an entry point, Mars, I do not see one right now. I'd like to see a correction in the silver price, and then that might create a little entry point into here. But yeah, don't see any entries here. We do have a golden cross coming up, but look at how stretched all these technicals are. Stochastic's way up, MACD's way up, RSI is way up. But if your question is to trim, yeah, I kind of think so. I think there's a nice little trimming opportunity right here. And copper, paging Dr. Copper, up 1.5%. Last week it closed at $4.50. Now it's $4.56. I'm kind of thinking $4 is the new $3. Look, we got a lot of support around $4. We might even be able to move this line up slightly. I don't want to get too greedy like we did with silver, but maybe if we put it at $4.25, then that'll be the new floor. There's also a bit of resistance, support right around 425, so that coincides with that as well. And the fact that we moved this white line up to $4.25 should keep the manipulators at bay. COPX, we said last week it's probably going to do some catch up. Looks like it did. And it's up 3.3%. It's ripping to the upside. If you guys know who says that, what other YouTuber, put it in the comments below. That means you also watch his channel. COPX looking great. Don't see any entries, but thank you, Peter Granich. Just started, buying into this thing on pullbacks. Same with COPJ, the junior copper miners ETF. Don't see any buys into this. This one is up 5.5% for the week, ripping to the upside. Got a little bit of a double top here, although the market cap in this is pretty small, so I don't know how much technicals play into this, but would like to see a little bit of correction. But if copper keeps going up, then that's not going to happen. Arizona Metals up 4.5% for the week. We were saying a limit order around $1.53 would be nice. That hit on Monday, so hopefully you got in. And yeah, this one's looking good. Would like to see it just kind of consolidate a little bit sideways. We got to see it blow through this 200 moving average before it's going to do anything real. And uranium is down to $87 a pound. What is going on? Oh my God. Okay. New contracts are coming in with no floors. I'm sorry, with floors, but no ceilings. So this is a seller's market. Don't get too caught up in this. It is the price of uranium is going higher. Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is trading at a 3.3% discount right now. And the beauty of this thing is that we have 100,000 pounds were added this week. So Sprott took up an extra 100,000 pounds. We are up to 64 million pounds of U308 sitting in a warehouse unavailable to Duke and Constellation Energy. They can't have it because it's ours. Cameco up 2.5% for the week. Maybe a little bit of a cup pattern here. That's kind of interesting. Support's going to be around $45, $46. Kazatomprom, we said last week, if you're looking for an opportunity, that was it. It hit right on the 200 moving average. And oftentimes when we say this, come Monday, it just bounces up and you miss it. You got to get it on Friday. That was not the case. You had all day Monday to get this. We even put it in the title. So hopefully you got into that, up 6.5% for the week. If you caught it at the exact bottom there, you're up 7.5%. So congratulations. You are in the biggest uranium miner on the planet that pays amazing dividends. Congratulations. Well done. URA up 2% for the week. Support is still at 29 and 27. $32 is going to be the resistance. URNM is up the same, 2% for the week. And it 48.50 and 47 are going to be support right around this 200 moving average. It'd be nice if it came back down to that. URNJ is up 1% for the week. Support is still at $23. Any approaches to that, if it comes down here to the 200 moving average, if you're not in and you want to be in, that's your entry point. UROY is flat for the week. A little bit volatile. Support is still going to be at $2.15. And Energy Fuels is down 7% for the week. If anyone knows what happened to Energy Fuels this week, put it in the comments below. Yeah, not looking good. This chart is at risk of breaking down. Next level of support is going to be around $5. Global Atomic and GVX. Okay, what's going on here in Niger? Well, the Americans decided that we don't want a drone base out there anymore, so we're pulling out. So security is, at least as far as the West is concerned, is starting to go away. Russia's taken this over. They are moving in, and the price of these companies is falling because of that. There is some back support right back here, around $1.35 for Global Atomic. And for GoVX, same kind of thing, just falling out of the sky. If close the week at about 6 cents, not looking great. It is touching back here on the COVID lows, so there is some support there. But yeah, it'll just depend on what's happening out in Niger, and that don't have any information on that. We're past the point of concern on Global Atomic. We don't own, I don't own GoVX, so can't really speak to those. But that's what happened on the charts. And oil is up 2% for the week, looking fantastic. Just floating right around that $48. We have a golden cross in the commodity right here, looking great. And XLE, our favorite oil ETF, just keep collecting those dividends. Don't see any entry points right here. Possible cup pattern with the handle forming out, just like in the commodity. Same thing with XOM. Exxon Mobil looking great. They had a bad earnings report, surprise to the downside of about 6%. but hopefully we'll get a cup and handle forming out here. We shall see. Had a golden cross a couple weeks ago. Blackstone Minerals, it's up about 4% for the week. This one's looking great. Dividend approaching. They had a little bit of a hiccup with less dividends coming in, which was kind of a bummer. Went from 47 and a half cents a share to 37 and a half cents. But it did give you a buying opportunity if you wanted it. Got down to $15. Hopefully you guys got it. I still think it's a really good deal. And actually, in my dad's account, we're actively selling, rolling off those 1 month treasuries and putting them into Blackstone here, essentially doubling his income. Freehold royalties, limit orders around the 200 and the 50 moving average. Like we said last week, you had all week to do it. Hopefully you got in if you wanted the company. Golden cross formed and it shot up to the upside. So well done on you. You should have got in around just north of $14. Woodside down about 2%. This chart is also looking like it could break down. Not looking great here. There is decent support where it's at now. If we go way back on the charts, I'll save you the time, but there is some decent support right there. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on here, but the chart is breaking down. And Mars wants to know about Comstock Resources. We brought this one up before, and we drew in this line. I didn't add this now. This was here from when we were talking before. And as far as I don't see any entries, technicals are really stretched here. High RSI at 73, high MACD, high stochastic. Although it is breaking through the 200 moving average, I'm just not great at like catching breakouts like this. I'm the guy that draws in these trend lines down here and says buy at $7.40, and that's it. Yeah, don't see any entries here. If you did happen to get it down here when we drew this trend line, I would trim right here, Mars. Okay, and natural gas, this is pretty exciting. Shot up 10%, closed the week at $1.92. This is natural gas divided by oil. Shot up, but remember, these are some serious lows. I mean, it hasn't been at this price point since when was it? I think it was 2012. Yeah, back here in 2012. So pretty incredible. Um, yeah, natural gas is super cheap, very cheap. The way we're playing that is Devon, and we got Devon way back here when it was bouncing off the 200 moving average in the weekly. Had this nice double bottom down here. Don't see any entries right now, but we got a golden cross. That's awesome. This company pays pretty good dividends. Equitable, not as good of dividends, but they still do pay. We got our limit order back here for $33. And Joe wrote in, said you suggest a 35.25 as a good price entry point. I see bear flag formations that could go lower. Okay, so I drew in rectangles here, Joe, where you're seeing the bear flags. Maybe we're off a little bit on our times here. You said in February, I'm sorry, in September of 2022. I don't see any bear flags there. I don't see a bear flag here in October of 2023, but I see one right here in November. Maybe that's the one you're talking about. I tell you what, this is exactly what I was hoping would happen, is that you guys are using TradingView, and now we can all like become a hive mind and do this together. And check this out. What you can do is you can click publish up here, and I'm sorry, not publish. You can click this camera, and you can download the image. You can copy the image. You can copy the link. Copy the link of what you're seeing, maybe with the indicators drawn, and put it in the comments below. Or you could even tweet it. You could tweet this image and attach me, or put it out on Twitter, and we can all compare and contrast this and take a look together, because I really went into the weeds here on your prices, and I just don't quite see it unless maybe the time frames that you wrote were a month off or so. I'm not really sure. But anyways, do that, Joe, and I look forward to seeing what you see. All right, and we were talking in the live chat last week about how to play natural gas. So the two we're doing is Devon and Equitable. We simply got those from Rick. And some, I can't remember who suggested, but they were suggesting First Trust Natural Gas and UNG. And now, if the problem I have with these two is, if I bring in, let me put up natural gas futures here, and then I'm going to bring in um, uh, FCG, and we will put it on a new price scale here. And what I'm doing is I'm basically trying, so the bar chart here is the price of natural gas, and I'm trying to find a correlation here between FCG and natural gas, and I just don't see one. I mean, there are some little ticks and spikes that go, but I I don't really see a fund where you can bet on this, right? I mean, natural gas went flat and this went up, right? How are you going to bet that? And then if I put in the other one, if I'm missing something here, let me know in the comments below. But if I put UNG in here, um, I mean, I guess there's a pretty good correlation, except, like, look, natural gas moved up, um, 17% on Friday, and this one didn't do anything. So I don't, and this one went down. And on top of that, um, let me close this, and we'll go to these two funds. If we really zoom out on these, so this ETF, I mean, if you've held this for, since '07, it's done terrible, right? And UNG, United States Natural Gas Fund, I mean, if you got in when it IPO'd for 6,800 a share, and it's just completely like time decay. I don't know. I don't see the correlation there. Maybe do the screenshots and copy them in the comments below, and we'll see what you see. But yeah, I don't know how to play natural gas where you can take advantage of these volatile swings like this, like 17% move in one day. I don't think you can play it with these two, but maybe I'm missing something. I don't know. Okay, moving on to coal. Thermal coal is closed the week at 137, and met coal closed the week at 237. So this is pretty exciting because it went down slightly. Maybe we're just trying to catch the exact bottom here, but I think we need to start betting coal. And the way we're going to do that is the coal ETF. We placed another bet here for $23.20 and got it. And right when I was trying to place that same bet in the other account, so these different colored arrows are basically just different accounts so I can keep track of these and stay sane without guessing which account they went into, which brokerage account. Right as I was trying to put in another one for 23.20, after I logged out of this one and went into this one, the price had already moved. So I'm not sure if I'm the one that moved the share price or what, but anyhow, there's so little volume, it could have been me. But anyways, yeah. So next limit order here is for 23.20, and then we got these down here for 22.10, and then we have a stink bid in, I believe, for $21. So hopefully, met coal and thermal does correct down a little bit, and then the CTF will get a little bit cheaper. But in case it doesn't, I think we're going to start playing this 50 moving average right here. Glencore is flat. Dividends are not going to be impressive over the next year, but if you bought the same time I did, you are way in the black, and it doesn't matter. We're going to start collecting those better dividends once they pay off that acquisition of tech, and yeah, I'm very excited for this one over the next 3 to 5 years or so, but we're not going to get much in the way of dividends. I mean, like this last one over here, I think was 55 cents. Yeah. And then this one over here is 11. So not great, but it'll pay off in the long run. Just hold. Alpha Metallurgical Resources, Matt Warder's #1 pick. We might have been getting a little too greedy or a little too cheap and trying to get these in here. Still got the limit order for 300 and then 265, but it looks like if you get anywhere around 120 or so, that would line up with a lot of support right there. And Warrior Met Coal, HCC, is up about 5%. Yeah, 5% for the week. We have limit orders down here starting at 52.50. That may be a pipe dream. Hopefully, we get a correction. Technicals are really stretched up here. RSI is high, MACD is really high, stochastic is really high. So, would expect it to come back for a correction. Maybe we'll have to time that with the dividend payment. And Bitcoin is at 63,800. Looks like it's forming up a bull flag. According to Brandon, Bitcoin halving happened on Friday around 5:30 p.m. So last week on Friday at 5:30, the Bitcoin halving happened. Maybe that's what all of this run up here was the pricing in of that, and that's already happened. And I don't know. Uh, it'll be interesting to see what this does, but it looks like, at least as far as technicals go, we got a little bit more downside. And platinum closed the week at $922. Pretty exciting. I think there could be some opportunities here coming up in platinum. Easiest way to play that is going to be PPLT. And, limit orders around $84, stink bid around $80. Palladium is below 1,000 again. That one is down 7% for the week. Support at 980 got crushed and blown through. Next level of support is going to be around 910. Palladium, PALL, the Palladium Trust, is still same thing. Support is going to be around $85 for a limit order. And an opportunity might be coming up here in the SPPP, the Platinum and Palladium Trust. Check out this double bottom, right? Started right here about a month ago, up and then down. So if you want to trade something here, this could be an interesting entry point. Personally, I'd be waiting until around $9. But yeah, hopefully it gets cheaper, both of them, and then that will hit. And Gustavo says, thanks for the reply, Steve. Next time, can you give us some nickel companies? Didn't look into any nickel companies. The only way I'm playing this one, Gustavo, is I'm playing NIKL. So the Sprott Nickel Miners ETF, limit orders only. So far, we're getting nothing but crushed on this. Our first entry here was at almost $21, and now it's trading at 14. We have a limit order in here for 1260, which we placed this a while ago. And even though the price point got there, it never hit just because there's so low volume. Anyways, hopefully this does hit. I think honestly, we need to increase this limit order to around $13. Maybe I'm just being cheap. Yeah, this is how we're playing nickel, the easy beta way to play nickel. You don't really have to keep track of any companies. You just got to understand the general thesis. And iron ore up $2 for the week, closed the week at 110. And BHP is getting down into the buy zone. We almost bought some more. Their dividends are not as great anymore. For Americans, it's only 72 cents a share. Not fantastic. I'd like to see it go to a little bit cheaper. Maybe if we can get down into 55, we'll fire one more bullet into this. If it does get cheaper down in there, we're probably going to play another option on this one. Rio Tinto up 2% for the week. Still got our pipe dream limit orders in down here for $60 and then another one for $58.50. Probably not going to happen. VALE up 1%, still looking for that pop for the option here. Options expiring here in less than 2 months. So really need to have this thing move in the next 2 to 3 weeks for us to make anything on this. But it does look like it's carved out a little bit of a bottom here. So that is exciting. And the last one, Unity Software, finally had a little bit of a bump, but still needed to pop a lot more than that to profit on this option. Hopefully it does. I hope you guys got something out of that. If you're enjoying the show and you'd like to support, there's a link in the notes below. Thank you to all who have donated. And do the number one thing you can, support the show with a like, a thumbs up, and share this with anyone that you think needs to hear it. Probably your buddy that can't stop talking about tech stocks. You have yourself a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you next time.